confidence tricksters. They win your confidence. They play to your greed. They manage to persuade you that they know everything about finance. They can make you rich. On the internet, any number of frauds. The first and most famous, the oldest fraud is something called the Nigerian letter scams. Before the computer era, the Nigerian letter fraud used to work like this. You would actually get a letter, and it originated in Nigeria, but it's been done in a number of countries. The letter would be on a good letterhead with proper drafting. It would almost look like a government letterhead, and it would say, I am the son of so and so, who was the dictator of such and such a country, and my father has been thrown out by some upstart who came, and my father is now in hiding, and there's a lot of money that he has with him, and among the 5 or 6 billion people on this planet, somehow we have zeroed in on you in Mangalore to take care of this money. You have to help us, and for that you are going to be paid a fee. And when the money itself is in thousands of millions of dollars, whatever 0.000% also you have will be several $1 million. So immediately my mind starts, well, okay, 1 million is how many crores? And we start, even if I pay 35% income tax on it, okay, I'll be having so much. We start from there. The whole thing is to play to greed. Now, in the old days, the whole thing would be, in case you responded, you have to respond painful correspondence, they would manage to persuade you to come to Nigeria. Moment you landed in Nigeria, you would be kidnapped and held for ransom. This was the origin of the Nigerian letter scam. Now, all this meant a lot of hard work on the part of the scamsters. Some God must have smiled on them because they were gifted the facility of the internet. Suddenly, it became so easy with the banking systems going. You didn't have to call anybody here, hire thugs to kidnap them, hold them for ransom. Just send billion emails. You will get a few bakras, enough, whatever comes in there, enough. Okay, we are very good in this, the old undivided districts here, Udupi and Dakshin Kannada. We think we are very clever people. I don't think so. The highest number of private finance companies are in these districts. The highest losses have taken place in these districts. Educated people are falling for these kind of scams from these districts. Must be falling elsewhere also. But it is quite, disturbing, the number of people, so-called educated people from so-called intelligent districts that are falling for these kind of things. Every week there is something in the paper. If you read the newspapers, you will know it. The next week or the next month, there is a new thing. And the small things go unreported, let me tell you that. We know because these things come to our office. Only if it is something big, if somebody files a complaint. Do you know there are so many people who realize they have been duped and so shown to be so stupid, they don't even file complaints because they don't want it to come in there. The moment you file complaints, there are enough journalists today who have got tie-ups with police stations. So they get this kind of news to publish it. Any criminal news is public news. So you, of course, have a right to publish. So they are just waiting to publish. So I'll look like a fool, therefore I don't. So only if the amounts are very big, these things happen. So there was a case, I remember. There is a college in Mangalore which conducts various courses, including investment courses, and I too teach there sometimes. Many years back, they had a real estate course. It was a good course, and I was not teaching real estate. I don't know much about real estate, but since real estate is also an investment, I was asked to give a few lectures on what is investment and then how does real estate fit into the investment scenario. That was the very limited talk. But some very good students there. A year or two after that course ended, one of those students who was in his 40s, he was actually, I think, a real estate agent. He called me and said, I my neighbor needs to consult you, I want to bring him to you. I said, okay. So he came with a man who was about 60 years of age. And both of them are sitting there. The 60-year-old man can't even talk English properly. He just takes out one email from his bag and he gives it to me. Now, this email is sent by somebody to that 60-year-old person. And it is supposed to be from someone who is a barrister at law in a United Kingdom court, sending an email on behalf of some African dictator and telling the 60-year-old man that he has been selected to handle the funds transfer of that person in Africa. So I straight away told him, this is an absolute fraud. The 60-year-old chap got very uncomfortable, very upset. He said, no, it is in writing. I said, of course it's in writing. Many frauds are committed in writing. I asked him simple questions. Who are you? Why should they select you? Why, for example, can't they select a top tax consultant in Bombay who can handle money much better than you, a top chartered accountant? Why select you for such large sums of money? And I told him, it's so easy for me to prove that this is fraud. You are getting a letter from somebody whose name is there, comma, QC. Do you know what the meaning of QC is? I asked. He said, no. He said, QC stands for Queen's Counsel. Do you know who is Queen's Counsel? Only the top senior lawyers get that title. Like in India, it would be the equivalent of not Supreme Court advocates, but top Supreme. Actually, there is no such thing as Supreme Court, High Court and local. Any local advocate can go right up to the Supreme Court. But these titles have come because if a lawyer mainly practices at the High Court and does not go to other courts, he is called a High Court advocate in India. Actually, as per the Advocates Act, even any lawyer practicing in Mangalore can pursue a case individually. That lawyer can go and appear before the Supreme Court. It's not like an educational institution where there's admission. If you are enrolled as an advocate, you can represent right there. But we have these nomenclatures. But there, to get Queen's Counsel, it's not easy. You have to have a track record, so many years of practice, you should be of a certain standing. And I said, now these people are so highly educated. Their English is perfect. They know how to draft skillfully. I said, every sentence here in this mail, there's a grammatical or other mistake. Okay, so Queen's Counsel, no, it's not possible. But in his mind, it is only how much he is going to get. I was not able to convince him. So I told the other man who was my student, sorry, his funeral. And why this man has brought him is, that fellow has to pay 3 lakhs as some kind of an initial fee, processing fee to pay some bank charges so that he gets the money. Okay, and he does not have 3 lakhs. He is actually lower middle class. You get one glance at him, I could see. And he has been asking his neighbors and relations and friends for, give me 25,000, give me 50,000 to collect money to pay to these scamsters. It's that bad. And this person who is my student happened to be one of his neighbors. That's why he brought him to me. I said, no, of course, I don't know what happened to that story. But this man left my office, the 60-year-old man, almost accusing me of trying to come in the way of his getting huge fortune. Okay, so anyway, I not know what happened to that story. None of these stories end well. But why I told you this story is, for a very long time, one thing used to puzzle me. Why are these emails, in the old days of the Nigerian letter scam, things were so beautifully drafted, such costly stationery, the best quality bond paper, embossed letterheads. You would actually look at it and read it. Then you'll analyze it. Now, in these email things, the drafting is atrocious. Every other word is a mistake. Spelling errors, punctuation errors, grammar, horrible. I used to always wonder, how can people draft like this and still fool people? I could not understand why things are so bad. The answer came to me because I read The Economist. The Economist had one article on exactly this. Why do these people write such poor mails? And then to my surprise, I came to know that it is drafted poorly deliberately. Somebody who knows good English is now deliberately making mistakes and sending emails to us. You know why? The clever people will see through it. They do not want to discuss with the clever people or take the money forward. They want to eliminate the clever people. Who is going to, if somebody has to respond to such a pathetically drafted letter, that person must be a real dud. They want only duds to respond because it is much easier to get money out of duds. Brilliant. We have to take our hats off to that kind of thinking. So, Nigerian letter scams, there have been so many. Identity theft, it can happen today. More and more we are going on the digital this thing. Home employment. Everybody would love to work at home, myself included. Okay, we would love to work at home. All you need is your comfort of your home, one laptop on the table. I can do the homework, I can look after children, I can do this, I can do that. So nice to work. Okay, we can make a lot of money. There may be one or two such employment opportunities that may even be above board. But if you ever get those kind of opportunities, you have to be very, very careful. The analysis is very simple, but nobody does this. There are two people involved here. One is an employer, the other is an employee. Okay, now there is, call it a salary, compensation, wage, call it anything you want. In a normal employment, you are doing work at home for somebody. In a normal employment, how does the salary flow? Does it not flow from the employer to the employee? Now what will happen is, you get some message, some advertisement, some email, you respond to it. Yes, I am prepared, I've got time on my hands, I would like to work from home. Immediately another thing will come, okay, this is the company, this is the kind of work you'll do, some editing work, some data entry work, this thing, that thing, and we are in so many countries, we are a multinational firm, this thing, that thing, and you've got this opportunity, all that thing to convince you. Then here are our terms and conditions. When you read the terms and conditions, you'll find them so fairly drafted. Give us your bank account number. This is how we'll be remitting the funds at the end of the month. Okay, all these kind of things. Then you say, do you accept these terms and conditions? You click that, you send them back the mail. Now, at some point of time, after 3-4 email exchanges, you'll get one mail. You are now ready to start your employment. However, when you become an employee, there is a certain registration process. Now for that registration process, you have got to pay a fee. Okay, and that fee may be some 1,000 rupees. Generally it will be very, very, relatively a small amount, not a big amount. Say, remit this is our bank account, remit this registration fee, we'll send you the application forms, everything will start. Now, when you take up any job, a normal job, does the employer ask you to pay? Does money flow in this direction for any reason? In fact, I know cases where if an employer is seriously interested in a prospective employee, the employer will sometimes even pay their travel expenses up and down for an interview if the interview cannot be conducted in the same city. Today, of course, you have got Skype conferences and so many things, but in the old days, a good employer will not ask the employee for money for any purpose. Many times they'll give you a joining bonus. They'll give you some hardship allowance or something for shifting your, whichever way you look at it, please note, in a normal, above the board, respectable employment, the cash flows from this point to this point, not from here to here. This simple analysis nobody do. You can call it registration fee, you can call it application fee, you can call it anything you want. If cash flows in this direction or there's an attempt to make cash flow in this direction, it's a fraud. Such a simple analysis, so many people don't do. They don't do. Okay, so be careful about that. There are enough of these cases, black dollar fraud. This was actually happening and people were following simple magic tricks. Okay, somebody there takes a black piece of paper, applies some chemical on it, you get a dollar note, actual US dollar note. So they will give you black pieces of paper. Then they are not, that's given free, the dollars are given free, please note. There's a liquid that you have to buy to clean the dollars. The classic case is the original version of money laundering. You actually launder the currency notes. Okay, so you pay for that precious chemical and you go inside and you can apply the liquid all you want. You can put it in your washing machine, you can give it for dry cleaning, but that black paper will remain black paper. Okay, you will not be getting the dollar notes. When you go back to those people are gone. So many people have fallen for this. Lotteries, this I don't have to tell you. I don't think there's anybody who has owned a cell phone who has not received these messages. Okay, suddenly somehow you have won, and many times international brands are used. Some top companies are used to get you, the moment you fall for it, it will be suddenly the same thing. Here it is somebody giving the prize, somebody receiving the prize. So my common sense would tell me that money should flow from the person giving the prize to the recipient. But you're suddenly has some registration fee. RBI, the blame is always put on the Reserve Bank of India. Okay, RBI says, we wanted to give you, RBI is saying, no, there is some fee to be paid for these kind of transfers because the money is coming from outside India to India. RBI, certain charges are there. Those charges, even though this prize is amounting to several $1 billion, those charges are only 2,000 rupees. That too, fellows who can afford to give you $2 billion can't pay 2,000 rupees. That has to somehow come from you first. Only then we can send you the money. Job and employment. Slight twist is given to the names of respectable companies. Then an email is sent. Today, a lot of youngsters want jobs. A lot of youngsters will be happy if the jobs are outside India. Everything will go on. You will be asked to send your resume. You will be asked for so many details. After that, you will get an email, congratulations, you have landed the job. Now what? Now you have to move from India to there. We are making all these arrangements. Some fees have to be paid for those arrangements. Okay? So you pay the fees, goodbye. You will never hear from them again. Same thing with gifts. You get a call, you have won a gift. You will get the calls, but before the gift goes to you, courier charges at least you have to pay. The gift is free. Okay? And many times these amounts are small. They are trying to collect small amounts from a large number of people. Immigration, similar to job. You want to leave India, go to some other country where you think you can make a better life. There are genuine immigration consultants. There are also a lot of fraudsters. We have to be very, very careful about all these. Charity frauds. This is another very brilliant scheme. I came across one where a client of mine asked, there was a trust and the trust has been created for the blind. Now, all very nicely written, there's an actual institution, they show all the pictures, and they tell you, you put some money into this, you try to get 2 more people to put some money into this, even that does not raise, and they are so honest that they will tell you that all your efforts may come to nothing. Okay? If the scheme does not, the scheme may not work. If the scheme does not work, you will not get any money back by getting 2 or 3 more people. If the scheme works, you will get much more than your money that you put in here. But the money that you put in there is not called an expense or a fee or a charge or an investment. It is called a donation. And the donation is for what? To help the blind. So, we also become a bit blind and we put our money into that. And sure enough, you will not get any money back. But you think, okay, at least it was a donation. It was said there. They were very honest. They said it right at the beginning that it was a donation. I think a pretty effective way of relieving people from their money. Of course, hacking email ID, this became so rampant that it has stopped now. The classic case was a friend of mine who had come from a foreign country. He had told me in advance that he is actually coming to India. And I'm sitting at my computer checking my emails. There is an email that I have received from this guy. Correct email ID saying, I am in this particular country, far away from India. My passport has been robbed, my credit cards have been robbed. In fact, everything has been robbed. But by some miracle, I'm able to send you this email. But everything has been robbed. I need money desperately. Please help me. Please remit this much of amount to this, what is that called, bank account. The beauty was, I'm still reading that mail when this fellow walks in. He is in India. Actually, this is supposed to be Portugal. I told him the first thing you do is, your wife also has most probably received this email. Let her not think that you ran with some girlfriend to Portugal. Immediately call her and say that you are with me in this office here. And to disregard that mail, then change your email ID or get rid of that email ID and get a new email ID. So you have all these kind of things happening. SMSs, I've told you. Okay, one of the things is there. Congratulations, you're the 1 millionth customer. So there are millions of millionth customers who have received these mails, some things given to you. The bottom line is very simple. Everything is going to be given to you free. But at some point of time, you have to pay. If you remember this simple equation, employer, employee, donor, donee, somebody who is giving the gift, somebody who is receiving the gift. Just one question to be asked. In which direction should the money flow? That is all. If there is any attempt to make money flow in a reverse direction, it's a fraud. It's a fraud. There's one more scam. This is also another brilliant scam that's been going on for a long time, and it is also going on now. I myself had first-hand experience of this. Some 25 years ago, there was a stock exchange in Mangalore, and I was somehow involved a little bit in the administration of that stock exchange, and I had a certain designation. Now, the moment I'd taken office, within 1 month of taking office, I received a letter from Delhi, some NGO. Congratulations, you have received or you have been chosen to receive something called the Udyog Ratan Award. I immediately called the secretary there and asked them, write a reply back to these people. It's only 1 month since I have taken over as office. Please tell me your parameters on which I have been selected for an award. 1 month into taking office, I have not got one accomplishment to show, and the letter was sent back to them by registered post. We received an acknowledgement card. There was no reply. Lot of people fall for this. In fact, these awards are quite famous. You say, I'm willing to receive it. There will be an actual award function in Delhi. Many times a politician will be involved. They will be called to give away the prizes. You will have photographs receiving the prize. Everything is fine. But you have to travel there and come back at your expense. You have to stay in Delhi at your expense. And in addition to that, you have to pay a certain amount. It's not cheap. Sometimes 50,000 rupees or more. You have to pay this particular amount, as they will call it as, we are an NGO, we don't have money. So all expenses of organizing these things, you have also to share in it. And you get that certificate. There are people who have received it, who have framed it and kept it here. There was one particular person I know. He was belonging to a small business group in Mangalore. They had collected money from so many people, and the chief of that business had received this particular award. Every day, advertisements were coming in the local papers congratulating him for having received that award. One day, his whole business collapsed, and he was jailed several times. Today, I don't know what his fate is. He had run away from Mangalore, but he was a recipient of that award. Okay, so there are these kind of things also happening. There will be a good ceremony held, but once again, you have to purchase the award. You have to purchase the award. Phishing, I don't have to tell you. You get telephone calls asking for your bank details, asking for your personal details. You have to be very careful. There are emails as if they are sent from your bank. They even manage to forge the bank letterhead, fake letterheads. And sometimes they warn you in advance, because otherwise you'll get suspicious. First a letter will come. You'll be receiving, this is from your bank. You'll be receiving a call one of these days. Please cooperate and help us. No banks ask for this. No insurance companies ask for this. So you have to be very careful about this. Benjamin Graham says, bright, energetic people, usually quite young, have promised to perform miracles with other people's money since time immemorial. They have usually been able to do it for a while, or at least to appear to have done it, and they have inevitably brought losses to their public in the end. There's an old saying in English, anything that appears too good to be true is too good to be true. Don't fall for these kind of things. There have always been conmen. Today there are conmen, and the number of conmen is going to increase. It is not going to decrease. I told you, whatever I have told you so far is not only the tip of the iceberg, it is not even the tip of the iceberg. Remember that. Why do people fall for this? The defect is always within us. It is greed. It is greed. We are born with it. Everybody is greedy. I am prepared to give you in writing that I am greedy. The whole trick is, can we keep our greed within a reasonable amount of control? If we can't, we are sitting ducks for these kind of scams. And there is no cure for human greed. So these things are going to continue. SEBI, SEC, police, the government, regulators, call them whom you want, they cannot prevent these things. As individuals, we can try to see that we do not fall for these kind of fraudsters. Thomas Fuller says, if you leap into a well, providence is not bound to fetch you out. We have this attitude many times. I can commit any number of mistakes, but I should not pay the price. No. If you eat in a good restaurant, you have to pay the bill. Everything has a cost. You make mistakes, there is a cost. You have to pay it. You can't wriggle out of it. A fool and his money are soon parted. That's a very old saying, and it's happening rampantly today. William Bernstein has a beautiful saying. A fundamental law of investing is that in the long run, you are compensated for bearing risk. Conversely, if you seek safety, your returns will be low. Experienced investors understand that reward and risk are inextricably intertwined. They are like this, like a zip, how it fits. One of the most reliable ways to spot investment fraud is the promise of excessive returns with low risk. Beautiful saying. Like I told you, in many of these scams, just in your mind, imagine a cash flow situation. From whom to whom? What is the context? Is it employment? Where should money flow? Is it a gift? Where should money flow? Is something flowing in the reverse direction? In the same way, what William Bernstein is telling us beautifully is, risk and return are like two sides of a coin, they cannot be separated. Okay, higher the risk, you have to take a higher risk to get a higher return. But this is the important point here. If somebody is telling you, no, you get fantastic returns with full safety. Okay, immediately you know something like this. It is a fraud. It is somebody says, no, this is absolutely safe. So many people have done it. The company has been in existence for 90 years. But when you put your money, you suddenly realize you have just killed a 90-year-old company, because the next day the company folds up. 90 years, nothing happened until you came along. You are to blame, nobody else. Okay? So be very careful. Be very careful. Everything works beautifully on paper. Moment your money goes into it, you have a problem. You have a problem. A beautiful saying by William Bernstein. If something sounds too good to be true, it probably is too good to be true. I told you that. There is no such thing as a free lunch. There is no such thing as a free lunch. Remember that. It is better to prepare and prevent rather than repair and repent. This is one of my favorite sayings. Be cautious. Moment something sounds too rosy, don't commit. Just step back. Just step back. One of the favorite tricks of marketers is, this is a fantastic scheme, but it is closing at 5 o'clock this evening. So just get out your checkbook, sign these papers. I'll fill up the form. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it, because there are a long queue here. And after for 501, the investment is gone. No opportunity here. Thank you.